Welcome to Business Chats with Debbie, where we talk to small businesses about their stories. I'm your host, Debbie Warburton, and today I've got the lovely Mary Wardell.
Good morning, Debbie.
I concentrate so hard on making sure that everything's right, and then I just, fluff it at the end. Well,
no worries.
So, Greywing Creations. So you do, you basically rewrite people's words to make sure that they make sense.
Yes.
And they say what they should be saying.
I do. I create and also I rewrite. Much of my work obviously is done creating. So I will produce all kinds of different copy or content depending on what a particular company wants.
So they give you an idea, go run with it.
Well, we've got, it's quite an involved process. You know, the sort of the basic outline would be a client would approach me with an idea that they're working on a big project and they need to hire a freelance writer like myself. So that might involve one or two elements of that entire project. So if they were producing maybe a website, they wanted the web copy rewritten, perhaps it's already there, it needs to be refreshed, or they're creating a new one. Alongside that, they may also want content for blogs to sit on the website, which has a slightly different slant as well, different style, has a slightly different purpose. And then they might also want smaller pieces to go out on LinkedIn and or create a newsletter to attach, to send out to their people on the website. Or it may be something completely different. They might want much more sales-oriented copy, which is different again to long-form journalistic features. It's much more sales-oriented. Things like email marketing, advertorials, adverts, creating strap lines, product descriptions, that kind of thing, which taps very much into the psychology side of it and the psychology of buying and selling. Yeah. So whatever they want. So they would approach me and we'd have what we call a discovery chat, which is no obligation, free. And from that, I would really probe and go into a lot more detail because I need to get right behind the brand.
Because if you don't get it right, it can cost you a lot of money for paying all the advertising fees in the first place, but lost custom. Because people don't get your message.
No,
and
that's
do you know what I mean? We all go out there thinking, oh yeah, we know our business. We can get the message across there, what we can't, but we can't. Do you know what I mean? Now, you've got to get the right message to the right people that you're trying to sell your product to or your service. Otherwise, they're just going to move on and go to somebody else.
That's right. And, that is where the skill of a really good writer comes into play because we go into, we do a deep dive into the brand to understand what it is that the company are wanting to achieve. Who are they talking to? What do they want to happen? Mm-hmm. What is it their customers are looking for? What is it they need? Because we're talking to their customers. We're not talking to them. We're talking to and tapping into the customer's psychology. Yeah. What motivates them to buy? What catches their attention? What are their needs? Depending on what format the words are put into. It will, it serves different purposes. And if you don't get that right, and that's not always the writer's problem, if the client themselves are not clear on what it is they actually want, and that's where we have to...
really hard.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? I've done it quite a few times, trying to get down to the nitty-gritty, because that's what it is. Yeah. It's a little bit of nitty-gritty that you want to get out there, the customer and the person that you're trying to buy into your product or your service is the bits that you think, I don't really need to know that.
You'd be surprised. And it is. Yeah, it is absolutely. And that's why we need this... we develop this good relationship with the client because sometimes they will come up with ideas that we think we can see won't work for them. So we can suggest, how about looking at it from this angle? We feel that you're going to get a better response, better buy-in if we put it
you're
like
outside
this.
Looking in, aren't you? While we're always inside trying to look out and everything else. Is somebody looking into your business from the outside, which sometimes has the most importance and can add the most value to what you're doing. Yeah,
and also because we work with words, we know what words are going to work because, lots of people put stuff together. That's not the point of it. You can put a whole load of words on a page, but it's the impact that you're trying to get. Yeah. It's the message you're trying to get across. It's the penetration into the reader's psyche that's what you're after. Grabbing their attention, keeping them there and fulfilling something in them that's going to go, oh yeah, I really like that. I want that. I do want to buy that. I need it. Exactly. So, and sometimes because clients are not trained to write or understand that side of it, that's why they need people like us to help guide them.
And we do tend to waffle.
And waffling is out. Yeah. No waffle, no fluff.
As I know, I approached you when I was doing an outfit, and I do the bones of it, and I was thinking, this is taking me so long to actually do it. And I said, oh, Mary will sort it out. And you do you know what I mean? Some of it's putting the correct words and do you know what I mean? The words that I obviously hadn't thought about, and moving things around to get a better impact.
That's right. Because people read in a certain way. So what creates impact also is I sing. So for me, music has a very much, words and music are very much tied up together. When I write something, it has to have a flow. It has to have a rhythm. It must move smoothly from one thought into the next thought, and leading the reader on a journey where you want to take them till you reach the conclusion. And when they get to the end, they think, I need to buy that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Or I didn't know that. I need to phone them and find out more. Yeah. So that's the point of it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all a journey.
It is a journey. Yeah. And that's where the skill comes in, because it's not something that people can just dash off and do. Most people can write reasonable English. That's not the point of it. I've seen some things that have been put together by top execs, and I cringe because I think, it's poorly worded, or it's clumsy.
And some of it's quite abrupt. And
has the wrong tone. Again, tone of voice is really important, because each brand will have a different tone of voice, and that's their personality, their mission.
And trying to get that across in words.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? When you're not seeing the person's face and you're not hearing the voice,
exactly.
It's all pulling it all together, every bit of it, and putting it into a nice written piece.
Yeah, because tone of voice can be all sorts of things. Someone said to me, well, what tone of voice can you do? And I said, well, depends what you want. I can do something that's slightly irreverent. I can do something that's just witty. I can do something that's much more academic. I can do something which is reassuring. I can do something which is serious.
Something that's direct. You need to do this now.
Depending on
you need to action this.
Exactly.
Now,
depending on the message and depending on the product and the company, they've all got their own tone of voice. So you wouldn't get the same tone of voice with Oatly. I mean, they are very playful, childlike, lovely, that you would with reading the NHS website. Completely different. That's those are the two very good opposites.
And font has a big play in it as well,
everything.
doesn't it?
Font,
spacing,
layout, yeah, absolutely. Spacing. All of this is all part of the brand. It's all part of the brand, and that's what I have to really get into and really understand. What is their brand voice? What is their message, their mission? What is their brand signature? What does it evoke in other people? When you think of brands like Coca-Cola or some of the big ones like Nike or Apple, it evokes emotions and memories and thoughts in people, and it's that I'm writing to. Yeah, that's that. It's those kind of things, because we think in pictures and we think in emotions.
It's like, do you know what I mean? When you're trying about a drink or perfume, I was madam, don't you mean? You want to try and as undertones of what, do you know what I mean? You want to be able to try and imagine the smell.
Yes.
Because that, do you know what I mean? Went through COVID was a nightmare, because they stopped you testing perfumes. So the sale of perfumes dropped of new perfumes because people couldn't smell it.
No.
It was the older perfumes that they knew the smell of that people were going back to buying. And it's that sort of thing, do you know what I mean? If you could write on it, do you know what I mean? That might have helped somebody to imagine, but then again, it's really hard, isn't it? Trying to imagine a smell.
You need smell-o-vision.
Yeah. Yeah, on some of them, no. But anyway, it's that sort of a thought process that you've got to go through and try and invoke all the senses when you're reading something.
So, for example, a good example of powerful copywriting for that kind of thing would be if someone had been on holiday somewhere exotic and they had remembered and loved the smell of frangipani trees. I've got or gardenia, beautiful, these really quite exotic perfumes. And there was a particular brand on the market that had some of these elements in their perfume. When you were advertising that perfume, it would be something like "Bring your holiday home," because they're remembering the smell and they immediately connect to that lovely perfume that they smelt, that lovely smell on their holiday that evoked happy memories for them, and they want to wear it because they felt special, they felt free, carefree, they felt luxurious, they felt chic, whatever it was. All these kind of things, because people buy things for different reasons.
So it is well worth, do you know what I mean, investing in somebody like you if you're trying to sell your product.
Yeah, and also if there's the telling and there's the showing. Telling is much more long form content, so I would be telling stories, case studies, press releases where you're telling a business's news out into the media, to the press, to announce something good going on, or the company's had a major award, or it's grown enormously in the last 6 months, or 4 quarters, or whatever. And then there's the showing, which is more copywriting. So there are 2 different styles, but they're equally as powerful depending on what you want to do, because you're telling stories basically one way and another.
You are,
either in a strapline or in 6 or 7 or 800 words or more. Yeah. It's telling stories
about you and your business.
Yeah. And what you can offer to the world.
And you've got to get it right, because if you don't get it right, it can work out really, really costly.
The worst it will do is just waste your time. You'll just get lost in that endless content that's out there. Every company now is fighting for the attention and trying to get its brand presence elevated, because as consumers, we've got the attention span of a flea. So we see something and maybe look at quick and then move on. But equally, there's lots and lots and lots of competition out there, all jockeying for position, trying to get their 2 halfpenny worth across in a very short space of time. Yeah. And you can only really aim at success if you've got a skilled writer behind you, helping you to achieve that with the rest of the creative team.
Yeah, because you're part of the business team, as it's
absolutely part of the marketing team.
That's the hardest thing as a small business owner, is you try and do everything yourself. Yeah, you try and do your finances, you try and do your payroll, you try and do your bookkeeping and everything else, and it's actually realising I'm not really great at this. I need somebody else to do this.
Everyone's got their strengths. Yeah, I mean, I couldn't do what you do, for example. No way, not in a million years. God help me. That's why I employ people, who know what they're doing, because that's their skill set. Yeah. Each to their own.
Well, thank you so much for coming in today. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
So if you need help with your backstory, with getting your message out there for either your product or your service, then get in touch with Mary, because she's fab. And thank you so much for joining us today, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.